How you guys doing today? So we're working on the Firebird again. I'm alone right now, but I'm just doing some pretty basic stuff. What I'm doing is I'm pulling the gauge cluster. I've already gotten all this junk here off. I'm pulling the gauge cluster because it's got dead bulbs and stuff in it. Also because I need to check the continuity on the fuel gauge here, because I don't know if it's the sending unit or what, but something's not working right with it, and pretty much all the bulbs are out in it. Pretty boring stuff. We did it in the 300 as well. It's pretty straightforward, so I'm not going to bore you guys too much with that. But yeah, today we're going to be getting that fuel gauge working, and I don't even know yet. I'm going to stop rambling and just get to work. All right, so I got the gauge cluster pulled out. I'm going to be cleaning it up here, and also I'll be cleaning the surface of it and the sides. I might pull the plastic cover off to clean inside of them. I don't know yet. And I also make sure all this is nice and cleaned up, and I'm replacing the bulbs. I'm just waiting for them to get here. So that might take a couple of days or a week or so. But yeah, I'm gonna set up time lapse and we'll get this cleaned up. All right, so while I'm waiting on the bulbs to get here, I'm gonna pull the sending unit because I think it's not working. I think that's what the issue with the fuel gauge is. So to do that, the previous owner, they already cut a hole back here to get to the sending unit, he told me. So I just gotta pull this carpet up and get to it. So normally you drop the tank, but a lot of people just cut holes in the body back here. I just removed this back plate here, just a couple of screws, pulled off pretty easily. So I just gotta start pulling this up. So I've gotten the carpet pulled back and I've got access to the sending unit hole. He's got it patched up with duct tape. The latch of champions over here, man. I'm gonna get this pulled back just like that. Come on, there's that. Bend that up. So we've got sending unit wires and whatnot here. Then we've got our pickup and returns and whatnot. I am going to pull it out just so I can make sure all the pickups and returns are at the proper depth down to the tank. But yeah, this is a nice little access hole that is here. So basically the way this is held in place, there's just this little ring that if you turn it to the left, it turns into these little clips until it comes out of these retaining tab things. Once you got that out, this whole thing should be able to just lift up and out. I might just pull the fuel lines off back here just to make this a little bit easier for me. But yeah, the whole thing should just lift up and out. So, all right, so I had to unplug the harness from down underneath the car. I had to jack the car up, get underneath. It's up kind of by the differential. Point is, we can now pull our sending unit out. And yeah. That filter doesn't look great at all. I'm going to be checking the signals on this, figuring out what kind of controls it. I'm also going to be checking both the line that shoots fuel to the tank from the sending unit and from the car to the filter, just to make sure the fuel line is clear and not plugged up at all, because I want to make sure that's not bad. What I'll do real quick though is, so looking at sending unit, you can see here, this is the pickup, right? And this pickup is this main one way off on the far right. So on this far right one, I'm gonna hook up my own fuel line to it, blow through it, and just see if it'll blow through to the rest of the tank. I'm gonna do that real quick just to make sure that the line's not clogged at all. All right, just for reference, I'm using a compressed air nozzle to blow air into the pickup. It did not want to shoot air through for a fat second, and then just a bunch of gunk shot out. So that might have been part of the fueling issue with this. So maybe I didn't need a new fuel pump, but it's better to have it not need it than need it not have it. So I'm gonna just try to clean this up and then see if I can get the fuel level thing to read properly. So that's just a matter of measuring voltages and figuring out where there's a continuity error. I'm also going to clean out that filter and just clean out the lines really well, because this is nasty. All right, so I've cleaned this thing up as good as I can get it. Like, it's still kind of gross, but I got quite a bit of junk out of the filter and just all the lines and whatnot. So right now I'm going to show you guys. I have multimeter hooked up here, have it set to ohms. You can see right now, float is maxed out 92. It's supposed to be at 90, but I think that should be within tolerance. Lower it down all the way, and you can see it goes down. It's going to drop. But if I get it all the way down, how about? There we go. You can see it goes down to 0. So I'm assuming it was just bad connections somewhere, but now that it's been cleaned, they're making good connections again. So I think this is going to be good to reinstall back into the car. That's within spec now, and I'm just going to double check to make sure that the little sock filter thingy down here is really cleaned out, because it was really nasty, which probably wasn't helping the fueling of the car at all. All right, the sending unit's back in. I got to hook up the sending unit plug and then get the gauge back in for testing purposes, just so I can make sure it's actually working. I'm gonna do that real quick. It's same thing, but just in reverse. Jack up the car, put the plug in. When it comes to the gauge cluster, I'm not gonna get the speedo in, because the gauge cluster is gonna be coming back off. So I'm just gonna throw it in just to make sure that the fuel gauge actually works now. So yeah, let's do that. All right, gauge cluster's loosely in. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous about this because I really just want this to work. Fuel gauge is going up a little bit. Does it need to go up any more than it is right now? I don't know. Let's see if we can start it and see what happens. It's got a lot of air in the lines right now. All right, well, I'll keep an eye on the fuel gauge. Let's let it idle for a second. Oh, that fuel filter is flowing so much better than before. So basically, before the fuel filter would get an impulse, then it would wait a minute, another impulse. Now it's just a constant flow. So fuel filter's the fuel system's definitely a lot less plugged up now. So hopefully the fuel gauge is working. I'm gonna give it a minute and see what happens. All right, another quick thing I want to do while waiting for the gauge cluster bulbs is I got to get these turn signal assemblies in. This bulb, I got to fish it out with some needle nose and then get this bulb in. I don't know if the bulb's actually working or not. I'm just going to throw them in for now because they look fine. Put your bulb in, line up the hole there and right there. Screw them in, and then you got the little front bulbs. So, all right, so the bulbs are in. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm just going to set up the camera, test to see if the turn signals in the front work or not. I know they work in the rear, but I don't know about the front. So we're gonna test those real quick. Okay, so as you saw, the new bulb works great. This bulb though is a little dim, so I'll probably just replace it. The hazards flasher works great, but the actual turn signal one is very slow. It would probably be fine. I might pull it out and just clean it. That might just be what the issue is. I don't know. I might just have to replace it. It's legal, so whatever. I'm gonna get these screwed down. At this point, you just gotta get the gauge cluster bulbs. When I come back, we're gonna be doing the bulbs real quick, and then that'll probably be it for the video. All right, so here I've got a bunch of bulbs. They're LEDs. This is what one looks like inside of the holder. This is what the old ones look like. Changing them out's pretty easy. So it's simple. You just pop out, if I can do it, pop out the new one, grab your new one, all right, you see. I believe polarity doesn't matter with these. Hopefully not, because if so, then, actually they might have a tab or something to tell you which way to put it in. I don't know. Point is, they just pop in and out, really simple. So I'm gonna get all these changed over. Then I'm gonna get them just put in and twist it into the gauge cluster, and I will get the gauge cluster reinstalled. I'm not going to bother showing you guys. I'm more just showing what I'm doing exactly, which is twisting the bulbs out. You guys, it's pretty simple. You just put these in, twist it. It's simple. It's easy to find tutorials online. So yeah, that's what the new LED ones look like compared to the old halogen style. So I'm going to go through and change all these out real quick. Be right back. Okay, the cluster's back in. I just got to throw the screws in, and I also got to plug in the speedo. The way it works is this. It's just a little plug that plugs in. There's a little clip, so taking it off, you got to push in the clip, pull out the speedo cable. Installing it, you just plug it back in, And we're real close to a test. All right, so I've waited until it's dark out, and we're gonna test the old gauge cluster lights. You can't even see anything right now in here. Okay, well those ones are working as they should. Let's get these headlights on. Okay, so now for some reason this one that was working before is not working. Everything else seems to be working perfectly fine though. Looks like we just have a few issues with turn signal stuff. And for some reason this one isn't this far. The speedo one is not working, don't know why. That works. Go high beam. Okay, that works. So it'll probably have to come back out so I can figure out all the other gauge clusters, because pretty much all of them are like check engines working, brakes working. All these ones are lighting up perfectly fine. Even down here is good. It just seems like now all of a sudden these ones over here aren't working, and turn signal one seems to be a little bit messed up. So probably just a bad connection where it goes in. So I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I pulled the bulbs out, switched the polarity of the ones that weren't working, and just reinstalled them. I don't know if it made any difference, but let's see. Turn my turn signal off, how about? So now we actually have speedo one working. All the other ones seem to be working as well. That one's still on, the turn signal one. Hey, we got both turn signals now at least. And we have, so everything's working except that the right turn signal is always on. That's the only issue that it's having now. That right turn signal bulb was the one that was broken. So maybe I'll just try to place, oh. Well, apparently giving it a nice hearty hit fixed it. Oh, wait. Oh, that's interesting. That's just because it's not in all the way. So I'll have to figure out what's causing that to always stay on, but I can do that in my own time. What's important is that all the bulbs are working. The whole gauge cluster is lit up as it should be. I think the dimmer resistor might be a little bit worn out because these seem a little bit dimmer than they should be, but I can see them without any issues, so it'll be fine for at least legal reasons. And both of the turn signal indicators work, which is what's important. The only issue it's having now is just that this right turn signal one's always on. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys. We'll see you guys next week.